Good evening. By the end of this speech, you'll understand why schools should adopt uniform school policies. There are so many incidents out there at professional sports games. Ordinary citizens are getting stabbed, beaten, and even murdered because of the jerseys that they wear or that are affiliated with gangs and the colors that are associated with those teams. Imagine your kids walking home from school or at school are attacked by some menace to societies. This could cause trauma to your kids for an extended period of time. What should we do about this? Today we'll discuss the costs associated with school uniforms versus regular apparel. Secondly, numerous gangs are adopting jerseys and certain colors that are fads and using it, saying that it's gang affiliated. And third, we're going to discuss the atmosphere of the schools that have uniform policy and that don't have the uniform that has a uniform policy and don't have a uniform policy. Let's begin answering why uniforms are more cost effective than designer clothes. The annual cost to purchase school uniforms for one kid annually is $249. The annual cost for back to school for regular schools without uniforms policy is $688. Shoes can cost upwards to $100 or more. That's why the costs are so expensive. You can buy uniforms at any department store, Target, Walmart, things like that. 23% of all private schools and public schools all have a uniform policy, which nationwide, which thus creates a demand and supply for uniforms. Even though many states don't want to incorporate the uniform policy, every year 7% is an increase of schools adopting the uniform policy. Gangs have adopted professional sports teams and apparel, college sports, and certain colors. And since the schools adopted uniform policy, crime has dropped significantly. As you can see here, from California to Boston, large school districts have incorporated uniform policy. Since Long Beach has become one of the schools to adopt the thing, the overall crime has dropped by 91%, as you can see. School suspensions dropped by 90%. Sex offenses were reduced by 96%. Vandalism went down 69%. Assaults in grade K through 8 decreased by 85% because they used school uniforms. As you can see here, New Orleans, Cleveland, Chicago, Boston, Miami, and Cincinnati. These are the cities with the highest use of uniforms in the public schools. 87% total schools in these cities all have uniform policy. Now let's talk about what are the pros of wearing school uniform policy. The atmospheres of schools whose policies require school uniforms. Uniforms eliminate pressure, competition, and assault by older kids on younger kids, thus creating friendships easier. Uniforms make the school safer and allow the kids to concentrate on schoolwork than fashion. Socioeconomic differences among students are equal because they wear the same thing. They don't have to always think like, oh, now I have to fit in. There's no more of that. It eliminates that type of stuff. School pride increases because they're wearing a uniform with the logo on it. Thus, they take pride in their school environment and take pride in school. It creates a safer campus for assaults, eliminates gangs and cliques, because now you can identify who doesn't belong on that campus because they don't have a school uniform. We just discussed all these three topics. One, cost associated with school uniforms is better. Second, gangs that are out there, it eliminates all that type of stuff by using school uniforms. And third, the atmosphere, as you can tell, has increased dramatically as a better environment for kids by up to 87%, things like that. So, a wise man once said, a man who has never gone to school will steal from a freight train. But if you give that man a university education, then he might steal the whole railroad track. That is the end of my speech on why we should adopt a school uniform policy, because it's a better environment for our kids and everyone else.